Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. Today's topic is again about Hurricane Florence. It is now a Category 1, weak Category 1 hurricane, which will be rapidly intensifying soon enough into a Category 4 hurricane. And at this point, we don't even, okay, so you've heard a lot about on the news about the fact that this storm is headed for the U.S., but at this point we're still not 100% sure if this is going to hit land. But it is getting more and more likely. There's a significant risk, and we still don't know the intensity or where it will hit if it does hit. So if you like these type of videos, if you like my channel, consider subscribing to my channel, consider liking the video. If you're new to this channel, check out my video, go ahead, roam around, and you can decide whether this channel suits your needs. If you are an old returning member and haven't subscribed yet, for some reason, consider subscribing, helps out a lot. So, we are currently looking at the GFS, which is the 6-hour average precip rate, which basically shows you how heavy it is raining at some certain points, and also shows you the isobars, which shows you how strong the storm is and how strong the winds are. So it's a very this website is called Tropical Tidbits. So if you're wondering what website I'm using, it's right here, Tropical Tidbits. I can't really highlight this, but it's Tropical Tidbits. So it's an awesome website. So you could go check that out. And so right now we have the remnants of Tropical Storm Gordon across the mid-Atlantic region, and it is producing quite a bit of heavy rain across the Ohio Valley, southern Indiana, southern Ohio, and it's going to move up out the coast and away, and it's going to produce some rain, but nothing. That's not the main story we're focusing on. What we're focusing on is right here, Hurricane Florence. And at this point, this is Tuesday, September 11th, so in 2 days from now. And this is around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You can see 9:44. I think that is around a Category 2-3 hurricane, and it keeps dropping down. And at some point around this time frame, it could become a Category 4 for a while, before maybe dropping out into a Category 3. And then maybe potentially even re-intensifying. But as you can see, that the GFS has it just stalling along the coast for days. So let's see. All right, let's track. Sorry about that. Let's track this back. So we are at 949 millibars in pressure. This is Thursday, September 13th, and it officially is impacting the coast, directly impacting the coast, not indirectly. Indirectly, it will be basically impacting anywhere from tomorrow to wherever it departs from the coast, which we don't know. And so this is Friday, and you can see this thing just sits there. Sunday. This is already Monday, and it finally, this could be a Category 4, even 5 hurricane if the GFS is right with this millibar reading. But again, the GFS, it's just one model, so we need to take in the other models in consideration, and then it moves out the coast. And this is the most recent model run. So previous ones have been showing something differently. Will this exactly happen? Should you make your decisions even based off this whole video that I'm making? No. Keep to your National Weather Service, NOAA. Keep your eyes and your ears to them. They know what they are doing much better than I do. I'm just here to give you a basic background on what the storm is going to do and a little bit of weather behind it. But for warnings and evacuation orders, listen to them, not me. And so you can see the GFS actually doesn't have it directly even impacting or directly landfalling on the coast. There would be insane rainfalls with this, but then it just moves out into the, you could see, into the Canadian Maritimes, which this again wouldn't be this isn't going to be the worst case scenario, but it isn't the best by far. So if you go to total cumulative precip, you can see just by that coast some off the charts numbers of 24 inches plus. Those yellows, that is 2 feet of rain plus. So this could be something like last year we saw Hurricane Harvey, but on the east coast. Again, this is just one model showing that. Let's go say to the European model, and let's go to MSLP anomaly. And this basically shows you the intensity of the storm and the track of it. So right there we have the remnants of Tropical Storm Gordon, and then we have right here Hurricane Florence, which isn't showing nearly, the European model isn't showing nearly itself as strong as the GFS was showing the storm. And it has it directly impacting and landfalling on the southeastern parts of the United States, but it does stall for a little bit again, and does like this little switch around, but it weakens much more quicker than the GFS. So the GFS scenario would be worse than the European model. Now let's go to the Canadian model, and let's go to MSLP precip and frozen. Let's just do that one. So you can see, let's move this back a couple of days. So this is Wednesday, September 12th, 2018. The date is always up here, and this is 978, so probably a category 2 hurricane. So the Canadian model isn't showing necessarily a strong hurricane, but it is showing it's stalling out. You can see that it basically stalls out starting from late Thursday night into Friday morning. Just sits there and sits there and sits there all the way through about Tuesday, September 18th. And then it could actually, according to this, even re-intensify, but I doubt it. But taking all these models in consideration, we go to the National Hurricane Center, and they created a path something like this. So, as you can see, they have a track basically anywhere extending from South Carolina to basically parts of southern Maryland and northern Virginia, somewhere along there. And this cone is not, I can't stress this enough, is not the extent of the impacts. This cone is actually where the center of the storm could go. So if the center of the storm goes along here into South Carolina, the major impacts would be affecting Georgia and Florida, but it could also travel right along here, and it could potentially impact, that would be probably the worst case scenario, because the mid-Atlantic is more populated than the southern Georgia, South Carolina area. So this would probably be the worst case scenario, but this is what they're showing right now. If you're wondering what the M stands for, the M is for major hurricane, and a major hurricane, as we see right here, wind speeds greater than 110 miles per hour. And that's what's forecasted to be all the way to landfall, which it weakens to a hurricane to landfall, which is wind speeds between 74 and 110 miles per hour. So right now, as of now, it's a hurricane. If we go to right here, max sustained winds 75 miles per hour, so it's barely just a hurricane. In order for it to be a hurricane, it needs to be at 74 miles per hour or greater. So this is barely a hurricane, but it is a hurricane. It is located at 24.4 degrees north and 56.3 degrees west. It is moving not too fast, but not stationary, not slow. It's average around 6 miles per hour. And I would like to also show you the wind speed probabilities, which basically shows you the potential and how likely the tropical storm force winds probabilities are at a certain location at a given time. So this is for the 120 hours, 5 days out, from 8 a.m. Sunday to Friday, September 14th. This is basically the chances of seeing tropical storm force winds. This continues increasing and probably will continue increasing for the next couple of days. You can see that almost 90%, almost 100% basically in North Carolina, South Carolina, and especially North Carolina will get, at this point, likely to get hit by the brunt of the storm. However, that could still change, like I said. We go to hurricane wind speed probabilities. You could see that it's less, but these also will be increasing in the next couple of days. So right now, what we're at the max, you could see that orange-ish color. Not that brown. That orange does extend for a little bit of the outer banks of North Carolina, and that is around 40 to 50% of hurricane force winds or greater. So that is something to also keep in mind. The winds, the timing, and everything of that is just key to the storm. I would also like to take you back just to the actual main page. So right now what we have is Hurricane Florence, we have Tropical Storm Isaac, and we have Tropical Storm Helena, I think, or Helene, something Helene, maybe it's pronounced like that, and Helene, I don't know. So these are basically equal in strength. This one is moving a bit slower than Helene. However, this one is going to take, I think it's this one, that's going to take a farther northern track. Yeah, let's just click on it and let's find out. Yeah, so you can see that the hurricane, it's forecasted to become a hurricane, but it's going to take a northern track storm and then eventually, hopefully, not take a right or leftward turn, and it's just going to go out into the ocean weekend before even impacting England or any parts of the northern Europe. So that Tropical Storm Helene, as of now, isn't much of a major concern. Tropical Storm Isaac is a concern due to the fact that you can see it's going to be a hurricane impacting Leeward Islands, which is fairly significant, and then it gets into a storm. But then from here on out, it's uncertain whether it goes out into the Pacific. It could go into the Gulf of Mexico, and then it could re-strengthen into warm waters with weak wind shear, and it could just impact parts of the Gulf of Mexico states, Gulf Coast. So that's still a concern because it's still far out, and that would be within a week or two. So we need to keep an eye on that. But as of now, what we need to look at is definitely Tropical Storm or Hurricane Florence. It is currently a 984, like I mentioned, 6 miles per hour moving, Category 1. So I'd also like to take you to this website called Vent2Sky, and sorry about that. Let's zoom out a little bit, and let's just see the track of the storm. So this is Monday, September 10th, which is tomorrow. And if we were to look at this, this is the GFS model. According to the GFS, it should be around 90, 95, almost 100 miles per hour, which is a Category 2 hurricane. And then if we go, let's just go through 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the afternoon. So this is 10 o'clock tomorrow in the evening. You can see it's definitely a Category 2 hurricane, maybe potentially even a Category 3 hurricane by tomorrow. If you go to Tuesday the 11th, which is September 11th, and this is 10 o'clock in the evening, which is in 2 days, you can see that this is reaching Category 3 status. It's a major hurricane at this point, and it's just making a direct hit, forecasted to make a direct hit according to the GFS on land. And then it really increases its speed from basically Tuesday through Wednesday. You can see it's almost by the Gulf Coast, not the Gulf Coast, sorry, by the East Coast. And it is at this point a major hurricane. This GFS could be underplaying it. It could be making, the GFS isn't perfect. It's just one model. National Hurricane Center, no one makes their forecast just off of one model. So this is Thursday the 13th at 10 o'clock. So what we may be looking at, according to the GFS, again, this is not even, we're not even sure if this could hit exactly the United States at all. But at this point, it is a very high risk and a very real risk, but if it does, according to the GFS, it could be hitting or landfalling during the nighttime hours. So if we go to Friday the 14th, this is 1 o'clock in the morning on Friday, this is 4 o'clock in the morning, you can see it's really moving slowly, and it's just pounding the Outer Banks of North Carolina. I mean, if this does happen, look, it just stalled out for hours. Moves a little bit to the south, a little bit to the north. There's a little bit of a dancing around, kind of fooling around, like, got you there. And it basically just slowly starts to weaken, but you can still see that these winds are absolutely hammering the northern North Carolina coast and parts of Virginia. So this definitely wouldn't be good. This is definitely something that it could be a real concern, just stalling out, and it does seem to be stalling out. The European model also is catching on to that. And am I saying that the GFS is 100% right? No, but I'd quickly like to go to Mike's weather page, spaghettimodels.com. This is a great website. Again, has all these information, the latest updates on every tropical storm in the Atlantic at least, and parts of the Pacific. So let's go to the spaghetti models, and this is the most recent update. So you can see this is, I think these are just all the models combined, and each little tiny, looks like a spaghetti noodle. Each one of these is just one model sending its path, sending its forecast. So you can see that majority of them are showing this storm hitting either South Carolina. A lot of them are showing them hitting North Carolina, and then some even Virginia. Some could be hitting, some models are showing Georgia and North Florida. That is a possibility, but at this point it is more and more less likely to do so. And you can see just one model directing it off into the ocean, which I don't think is right, because we were looking at this model a couple days ago and it was showing a completely wrong thing, and I don't think this model has its handle on it. It's a CLP5. I don't really know exactly from which ensemble that is, but you can see that wrong here. We have a lot of confidence in this, that it will just take a track to the west, and then from here it could go either all the way up to Maryland into that area, and then all these just like these swirly spaghetti looking patterns are basically showing that this storm will be stalling out and doing circles, loops around, and before moving out into the coast off the east coast into the Canadian Maritimes. You can see some of them. I think it's really hard to see, but some of them are just showing it going right here, a direct impact, and moving off quickly. Some of them are showing it stalling out, so this is definitely something not good. This storm looks fairly menacing, fairly damaging, could produce quite a bit of... This could be a national disaster if it does occur, what the GFS is showing. So this is something to take seriously. Again, I want to stress this, that you should keep your ears and eyes to the officials at NOAA and National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service. They know what they're doing really well, and they're the professional officials. So that is what you need to be listening to. Do not make your assumptions and your weather plans and what you're going to do based off this video or even these spaghetti models, because this thing all could change within an hour or two, and the National Hurricane Center stays on top of this the whole day while I just upload these videos once, maybe possibly twice a day. So that is basically it, guys. I tried giving you a background update. There's still so much other things to talk about, but I tried keeping these videos relatively short. I'm trying to pack a lot of information into this. If I wanted to, I could go live, make an hour-long live stream, but I just don't have time for that, so apologize for that. That is basically it, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed. I don't know what's there really much to enjoy about this hurricane potentially hitting the East Coast, but hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you have some background about this storm, this hurricane. And again, keep your, if you are in this area, in this cone, you really need to start making a plan and potentially evacuate within the next couple of days if this does continue making a westward track. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all guys in the next episode.